The call of God. The call of God is, first of all, it's a burden. It's something you know you've got to do. But this comes from God. You've got to serve God. You've got to serve the God of the ages. You've got to serve Him with your whole life. You've got to put Him first and go do something for God. The call of God is between you and God. When you hear a voice, you usually are polite and say yes, and God is called, and you have to say yes. It's something you must do. When I go to an ordination, I always ask a young man, have you been called of God? If you've been called of God, then you must serve Him. And then we like to ask the second question. Suppose at this ordination we vote to not ordain you. What would you do? We want the young man to say, I will serve God anyway because God has called me. I've got to do it. Now the second thing, the call of God, is desire. What would you rather do more than anything else in life? If you would rather preach or teach or serve God or help people or counsel or whatever you would do, that's the call of God. If you've got to do it and you want to do it, those things are like a mighty handshake. And so two things. God calls you. You've got to do it. You want to do it. That's desire. And the third thing is fruit. Jesus said, you have not chosen me, called me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you might go and bring forth fruit. And therefore I can tell when a man has been called of God if he has fruit in his life. What kind of fruit do you have? If you are a good teacher, you ought to produce learning. If you're an evangelist, you ought to produce souls. If you are a counselor, you ought to solve problems. Whatever you are, you ought to produce fruit in the life of other people.